Hey everybody, Desert Grower here, back again with a special edition of Graham Stories. I got my man Lunchboxgrows here, who I actually met through one of my local grower meetups. So, Lunchbox, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been growing for quite a while. Took a bit of a hiatus for a few years, but since our beautiful state legalized, I've been back into it for a little while now. It'd be a couple of years.
Ever since we prop, I believe, what, 207 or something like that passed.
Yes, sir.
All right. Um, do you grow indoors or outdoors?
Indoors.
Indoors. All right.
Yeah, this year I'm gonna try and do a little bit of outdoor. I haven't done it before, so I want to experiment with it.
Yeah. It's a little hot, man.
It is. I'm gonna definitely have to do something with some shade. I got an area of the yard that I think will be good because it gets partial sun and partial shade throughout the day. It kind of alternates, so it might help naturally keep like a decent amount of shade on the plants while not really hindering them too much.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, that's gotta have a plan because boy, it's brutal sometimes, as you know.
Yeah.
So, all right. So a little hiatus, you got back into growing, once it all became legal here. Um, so I want to, so what is your preferred style of growing? Are you soil, cocoa, deep water?
I grow in cocoa,
Okay.
cocoa and perlite, indoors, LED, full spectrum. I use Mars hydro lights. Um, I'm working on doing a perpetual grow. Previously, I was doing 5x5 tents.
Oh,
Um, I was doing 6 plants under a scrog in the 5x5, and that was giving me really good results. But I found the tents to be somewhat inconvenient because, getting around to the back of them can be kind of a pain. 5x5 is a bit of a stretch to get to that back corner if the
it
tent's in the corner
is.
of a room, which mine were. And then you got all the plants in the interim. So like you got to be a pretty you got to have some contortionist skills to get through there,
Yes.
and I
Yes.
got tired of dealing with that. So I pulled the tents down and went to doing the 5x5. I'm sorry, getting rid of the 5x5s and doing two separate rooms. So now I have a little bit more space, 6x7, and I don't have the height restriction of the ceiling. I got about an 8 foot ceiling height.
Yeah.
Um, it gives me a little bit more freedom to experiment and do different things with training and things like that as well. Um, Again, so essentially cocoa, and I'm trying to do a perpetual grow. So every month I'm starting 3 seeds, and then every month those 3 seeds get transferred into a slightly larger pot, and then into about a 4 gallon pot in veg, and then I'll veg it for 2 months, and then right before going into flower, I'll switch to a 10 gallon fabric pot, and
Nice.
then they'll flower for 60 days. And then after 60 days, I'll harvest each one.
So, so you are growing photos, not autos, then, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. I've grown autos before, but um, I'm not that good at it. It takes like a whole different style of growing, and like it's a whole different thing to learn.
It
Yeah,
is. Yeah, yeah,
different
it's
world.
definitely. I had recently just kind of done my first full run of autos for the first time ever, and yeah, it was there was a lot of learning curves that time. But anyway, back to it. So all right, so you start off. So I want to get back to. Sorry, I want to hear it all. So when you're germinating your seeds, how do you go about doing yours?
Paper towel method. Lately, I've been really lucky with good genetics, and I've had pretty much 100% germination rate and 100% sprouting rate, and I haven't lost any plants in the last 12. Everything's been going pretty smooth.
That's awesome.
So yeah. So paper towel, I'm on a well, so
Tap
I
water.
just all
Okay.
water.
Yep. Thank
Um, it's got a decent amount of nutrients. The ppm in it in our well is like right around 250, I think.
Oh, wow.
No-
Yeah, no, that's way less than my tap water. And
Yeah, it's low.
that is
Um, but it's high enough to provide some nutrients.
sure.
Uh, Sorry, I got a lot of pH and ppm numbers jumbled around in my head, and it's been a while since I've tested the well. So,
Hey, but it's nice, especially because like once you know, I'm in the same boat. You know, once you kind of know what you're running out of the tap or out of your well, eh, you just, adjust accordingly. You don't even really mess with it a whole lot after that.
sure. And I actually I run my grow off of RO water,
Ah,
but
ah,
for
okay.
germination, I just use the well water.
Sure. Of course. Of course. So then right after germination, are you going solo cup? I'm sorry, was that the first thing you're putting them in?
Yeah. So paper towel, Ziploc bag, about 48 hours. I usually have some decent tap roots. I like to plant. Well, the tap roots are pretty short. Um, I don't like to let them go too long and have those really long squigglies because you have to be extra super careful with them. And, so 48 hours, if, like I said, I've had 100% success rate with germination. So I get a nice little root. And then into, I want to say it's Mother Earth seed starter soil that I got from the shop that you were talking about. And I'm sure I'll provide a link in the description. Uh, but yeah, so I plant them in seed starter soil. Previously, I was starting my grow from clones because my success rate with starting seeds was terrible, like zero. Main reason was because I kept putting them directly into cocoa and then trying to amend the cocoa with nutrients for a plant that basically needs nothing. So I just it's impossible to balance like a liquid nutrient regimen for a plant that's that young and you're just trying to start out. So I
Right.
just killed them.
Just burning the roots
Once,
when it came out.
yeah.
Yeah.
So once I went to the seed starter soil, I do start in that, because it holds a nice little nutrient amendment for the seeds.
Sure.
Uh, RO water in there, not the well water when I do water them.
Okay. Yeah.
And then, yeah, solo cup. I'm gonna put little holes in the bottom of the solo cup so I make sure that, any excess water comes out.
Right.
Can't overwater the babies.
And then you said you went, then it's a transfer game, right? At that point from the solo cup.
Yeah, they'll spend 1 month in a solo cup, 1 month in
I think you said 4 gallon.
I don't even know what to call it. It like not even a 1 gallon, like a half gallon pot, like about twice the size of the solo cup. They'll
Okay.
spend 3 weeks to a month in that. If they start getting really root bound after 3 weeks, I'll transfer them a little bit early to the 4 gallon. But solo cup to the small pot, to the 4 gallon, to the 10 gallon.
All right. And you said it was a fabric 10 gallon.
Correct.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
plastic pots throughout veg. Because I like to get them a little bit root bound before transplant,
Sure.
and then of course I use great white when I transplant.
Very, yep. Yep. Good stuff. Okay. So you said you currently have 2 rooms and I believe you said bedroom, flower room. Is that how it's split up?
Uh-huh.
And you're running under the Mars Hydro, a set of Mars Hydro lights, right? You have
Yeah.
quite a few different ones.
Both rooms are actually basically mirrored for veg and flower. Both rooms have one Mars Hydro TS 3000 and two Mars Hydro TS 1000s.
Yeah.
Um, 6x7 grow space. Um, Above the lights, directly above the lights is 8-inch um AC Infinity exhaust fan,
Yep.
um, with the temperature control and probe and everything mounted on the wall, the smart controller. And then both rooms have an AC unit that's wall mounted to the outside, and one of those oil heating heaters,
Yeah.
so it's not like a one of those red glowing elements, but it's like a radiator heater.
Hmm.
Um, and then I recently invested in it's like $30 for a an Inkbird temperature controller. So you plug that into the wall, and it literally has a plug attached to it that says heating and cooling. So you plug the AC into that one, the heater into that one, and you can dial it into within a 1 degree margin of on and off to make sure that your room is kept exactly where you want it. And since I've installed it, I keep the thing set at 77, and at 76 to or 75 to 79 is
Hmm.
my margin. So
Yes.
I've only had that exact degree of fluctuation in the last week that it's been running, and it's phenomenal.
That's awesome. Yeah, our weather's been quite weird. We've had, especially this last week, it started off quite crisp, and we had a couple warm days. Now we're getting back into some cold temperature. It's strange.
Yeah, today was supposed to be warm too, and it was surprisingly cold.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we got storms rolling in. Usually do
Yeah,
about this time of year, right around New Year's. So
yeah.
good.
Snowboarding season is right around the corner.
Sure is. Sure is. So, all right, sorry. So I wanted to get back. So, all right, once you get them transferred, you're in your first past your solo cup. Are you doing any training?
Yeah, I usually top at the fifth node.
Okay.
Um, so I do that right off the bat. I recently had or I'm actively growing a peanut butter breath, peanut butter gelato. Um, and it I sprouted it at the same time as this grape sage and sour, and the sage and sour is growing nice and low like a good dependable indica should.
Mhm.
Um, and the other one was like, I mean, 3 times as fast. Like
Uh-huh.
it was stretching like a plant stretches in the first 2 weeks of flower, like it was just shooting up.
Yeah.
So I mainlined it at the third node, and
Okay.
then I tied all those branches down, essentially, low stress trained from
Yeah.
there. And it's been doing a really nice recovery. And even with that, it's about 3/4 up to the top of that sage and sour already.
Oh my
You
goodness. That thing just wants to run, huh?
it does. But the node spacing is good. It's got nice tight node spacing even with the stretch. So it's
Yeah,
going to be a lot of training throughout the whole cycle on that one. But
sure.
uh, yeah.
That's exciting though, man.
Aside from that, yeah, like I'm topping on about the fifth node when
Sure.
they're in the small pots, and then once they're in the bigger pots and they're actually in veg for a little while,
Hmm.
if they need it, like I said, I like to keep my plants low, if I can, low and bushy. So I'll top a few more times if it needs it. Some of them are grown with a really nice canopy and they really don't need much. Um, and in that case, then right before they go into flower, I'll do some late low stress training essentially and take those upper branches and pull them outward and kind of tie them like with a string to the bottom of the pot.
Sure.
So it really pulls that canopy outward and lets the light penetrate a
Yeah.
good amount.
Yeah, get good airflow, all that good stuff. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
So no scrog net then?
Nope. No more scrogging. I'm not doing that anymore. Tomato cages,
Yeah.
um,
There you go.
for support. So far I've found that I only really need the tomato cages if I'm not doing the late low stress training essentially.
Yeah.
And just kind of letting the plant grow, because then the buds get heavy and the branches have a tendency to be a little bit thinner. The training helps, I think, beef up the branches and the stalks of the plant.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So before I have any like flowering stage questions, I want to ask you, okay, so you're in cocoa. And I'm not personally very familiar. I use the Fox Farm line of soils, the Ocean Forest, the Happy Frog, blah blah blah. So at what stage, because correct me if I'm wrong, cocoa has no nutrients, correct? There's nothing.
Correct.
Okay.
Sometimes depending on where you get it, it can come with a little bit of salts mixed in with it, like just from manufacturing, from where it comes from, sea salt in the air, things
Okay.
like that. You might
So it
want to
actually would have a little nitrogen boost to it, kind of built in then.
wait, say that again.
With the salt, with actual sea salt, it would have almost like a tiny amount of nitrogen built into it.
A good point. I didn't consider that, but yeah, maybe. So in that case, then maybe it would be unnecessary to wash the cocoa in the first place.
So, okay, wash and cocoa again. I don't know much about it. So it is. So when you get your cocoa, is it in a brick? Is it in a bag? How do you prepare it for your plants?
No, I typically buy bagged cocoa that's already aerated. I don't really like dealing with the brick.
Okay.
If you do get bricked cocoa, you essentially wash it anyway because you have to hydrate it. Um, but I wish I could tell you the name, but it eludes me right now.
Well, we're not worried about brand names right now. Unless they do you really good, then we can talk about them.
All right, fair enough. But it's a mix of essentially like 30% perlite and cocoa,
Okay.
and um and then before I plant, I use a Happy Frog uh dry fertilizer amendment, and I'll
Hmm.
put about enough cocoa to fill about a 5 gallon bucket, and then about a handful of the Happy Frog, mix it up, and then do my transplant there. And then um Tico, uh I use Tico. That's basically my watering
Yeah.
um for
I'm a
about the
super
first
fan of
three
that
weeks.
stuff, man.
So
Let me tell you.
it's really good. It's really good. It's great with feeding the soil. It keeps roots healthy. And immediately when I started using it, I noticed a day, a
Mhm.
day, and I noticed a massive top canopy growth.
Yeah.
Like the stuff is really, really good. The plants love it. And it's virtually zero ppm. Like it
Mhm.
hardly affects the ppms at all. So to use it regularly with watering doesn't affect the plants negatively at all.
Right. Yeah, it'll actually balance out anything you mess up pretty much.
Exactly.
It's good
And
stuff.
then once in a while the plant will show you it needs a little something extra, and then you hit it with, this or that. And but it's nice to not have to deal with a whole lot of different nutrient bottles when you have, the dry amendment in there for the first 3 months, and then you're just doing that.
So are you using dry amendments all throughout?
Just when I transplant.
Okay. Okay. So you
So
still have some bottle nutrients then.
yeah, I use
Gotcha.
Botanicare newts.
So which one?
Botanicare.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh,
Very.
Botanicare Grow and Bloom, and then they have a special um line for cocoa.
Okay.
Uh, Apparently, I don't use that. I just use their regular Grow and Bloom.
Sure.
So, and then for micronutrients, General Organics, micronutes, and then once I go into flour, I switch to the Bloom. I do
Mhm.
molasses, some Sonic Bloom, um, CalMag when it's needed in veg, early flower, not late flower.
Yeah, that's I got to be honest with you, that is something within this last year I had just learned. I was giving them CalMag, and I was always wondering why at the end it was getting weird spots. I never
In flour?
late flower, I was still going.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah.
I mean, I've done it before, and I really hadn't had very negative results.
Oh,
But I noticed in cutting it out lately, maybe I wasn't overdoing it before so
yeah.
much. I don't know. In cocoa, though, you really have to use it because it's kind of a necessity.
Sure.
Um, it's not getting it from anywhere else. Plus, like I said before, I run RO, so it's definitely not getting any kind of calcium from the well.
Right, right.
My ppm in my reservoir before I mix anything is 4. So
Oh
it's
my goodness.
yeah, it's very, very low.
Yeah,
SpectraPure is the RO system that I use, and it's a nice, compact, affordable unit, and the filters last a long time. And if you dial it in right, you can get your wastewater down to a manageable level where you're not feeling like too much of a
waste.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I got you. I got you.
But you can totally use it. That water is not useless. I mean, you can use it to water outdoor crops. You can use it to water anything that doesn't have to have a low salt value in its root system. So trees, shrubs, basically any outdoor foliage, and that's where mine runs to.
Yeah.
So it's not just going to waste. It's actually nourishing something.
Nice. Very nice.
But yeah,
Dude, that's awesome. All right, a couple more questions. So, dry amendment. So, once you get to flower, you'll start adding in, your bloom, and you're adding microbes throughout the whole time. You were saying, correct?
yeah, with the Tico.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also actually add a little bit of Orca here and there, especially with the young ones for the root development. But it's never a bad thing to add a little bit of root stimulant throughout the whole life cycle of the plant, especially if I'm transplanting so many times. It can't hurt. So just minimally, I mean, like you need so little of that stuff. It's like 1 ml per 5 gallons is what I use, when I add it in.
Sure. All right, now I have a tough question. And it's it's a little, it's gonna hurt, especially if you've experienced it. Uh, any pest problems you've had to deal with?
Yeah, lots.
Haven't we all?
Yeah. Uh, uh, Absolutely. When I first started my grow, I started it it is still in a 10 by 15, just outdoor corrugated shed.
Mhm.
And prior to its life as my garden, it was a chicken coop. Um, and it was where we had like 25 chickens or something like that. And that's where the chickens would all go at night to sleep when they weren't running around the yard and whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, so I did not know at the time, but I was made very aware once I started my garden that chickens are home to about 6 or 7 different species of mites.
Yep.
Um, Commonly, all the time, always on them. So as much sterilization and bleaching and cleaning as I did in that building and around it, it wasn't nearly enough. So
Sure.
right off the bat, I had spider mites, and as well as I don't know how many other ones. Um, but the spider mites never got bad enough to actually like really um web up any plants or like take anything out, anything like that. Enough to leave spots on the leaves, give me those telltale signs of spider mites. And of course, microscope, like once I hit the leaves with the microscope and you see them crawling around, they like to crawl under the little center veins and hide, and their eggs are obvious. Um, I got ladybugs. I got a lot of ladybugs.
Oh yeah.
And I let my army of ladybugs go, dude.
Yep.
And they fully eradicated my mite problem at that point on the plants.
Yeah.
So like at that point, I'm battling an environmental situation.
Yeah.
And from bleach to spray foam to just constant different remedies of neem oil and um, I had like a neem oil dish soap, super moist
Yeah.
mix, that I use and or was using. Um, and I'm confident in saying that I have definitely successfully eradicated my mite problem. Like I took care of those long ago.
Nice.
Um, You're probably familiar with the fungus gnats in this area. You know, they're pretty impossible to just get rid of. But again, you know, like I've treated those with hydrogen peroxide mixed with water um, as a soil drench.
Sure.
You know, takes them out of the soil, and then those big yellow stickies.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
the big
Yep.
double-sided sticky traps.
Yep.
So I'll hit the soil with the peroxide, which actually makes them come out.
Yeah.
So then you have to trap them, otherwise they'll just go back in when the soil is better. You know, so I'll cut a slit and a hole
Yeah.
and put one of those like directly over the pot completely. And that way any ones that come out get stuck on the bottom side, and then when they try and go back in, they get stuck on the top. And aside from hanging them, you know, and I've had good success just kind of sticking to that.
So
Uh,
I'm dying to tell you a little secret I found. I don't mean to get off topic real quick, but
yeah.
specifically fungus gnats because they are such a problem out here. Some food grade diatomaceous earth. Okay. So what I do is, because they're obviously attracted to the moisture. So as soon as you water, they're active, right? So I'll water and then immediately pour diatomaceous, the food grade diatomaceous earth on top. So it's like sharp. It like cuts their bodies up. They can't like walk on it. Okay.
Yeah.
So literally as they rise up, okay. The food grade one, I don't know if all of them are, but I know specifically the food grade one, it's a silica base. So on your next watering, that's going to soak down and it's going to help strengthen your roots for strong, literally stronger roots with that silica.
Oh, nice.
So you're doing two things at once with that food grade. And again, I don't know if all of it, but I know like our local Ace Hardware sells food grade diatomaceous earth. So you sprinkle that around. As soon as they leave, they can't land, and if they do land, they die. And then as you water, it goes down and like cuts whoever's hiding down in the roots. You can
So
actually eliminate them and don't even need sticky traps.
when you use the diatomaceous earth, how much do you put on the soil? Do you put like a dusting? Do you put like a
Yeah,
sandbox type of coating?
no, just like a dusting. So like I open up the container, I'll grab like a little shot glass, and like sprinkle it all around. So, but like, coat it all. It takes a while for it to like all break down below. Um, but yeah, dude, it's actually something to look into. It's
Yeah, yeah. I've always wanted to try it, and like I don't know, I really
oh,
never top dress with anything. So
it's the only thing I've put on the top, and it's literally I don't have any sticky traps. I'm gonna knock on wood here. I haven't had any. Once I'll get them. I'll put that treatment in. It's done. It's over with. That's the end of them. No sticky traps. No nothing. I got no bugs in there.
nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Again, knocking on wood. It's been a good
Well,
run this time. I gotta say. So
come springtime, it's definitely gonna be a situation again. So, you know, it always is. So I will try it.
it's yeah. So, like I said, something to look into. I don't see why it would react weirdly with the cocoa because it's meant for human ingestion. It's
Yeah,
literally
no.
so.
The cocoa is amazing. Like it's great to grow in because like it's so inert that it it's very adaptable. You know, like anything that you are gonna want to try and use or experiment with, like you you can see the results pretty quickly in the plants. And if something's happening that you don't like, you can make corrections to it pretty easily as well. Like it responds well to flushing. Cocoa doesn't really get hydrophobic, so like you can really let the medium dry out a good amount and get a good oxygenation to the roots before you rewater. And if you miss a water in veg, I've noticed is a lot more acceptable. You really don't want to let or that you not that you don't want to let, but in flower, if the pots get too dry, the plants just they get sad, they get hangy downy.
They quit producing weight, which is what we want at that stage.
Right. So you kind of got to make sure and, pick up the pots, feel the weight of them, and make sure that you kind of stay ahead of that stage, but at the same time, you still let them get some air.
So, and I tell you what, this is great stuff. And I actually do want to do a part two with you if that would be okay. Because I got questions about watering. I got questions about your trimming, how you dry, cure, the whole 9 yards. Because I know I personally struggle hard with the drying out here. Trying to get a long dry is something I've struggled with forever. So I got questions. I want to hear how you've done it, and uh, and go over any best practices you got, because I definitely take any tips, man. It's definitely
All right. Yeah, I'll definitely share what I've done for sure.
well, I
What's
appreciate.
worked for me.
So I do, before we, wrap up this part one, um, I know you have a YouTube channel. I'll definitely leave a link down below. But definitely, let us know what are you doing on your channel.
Basically my channel is not a real time, but it's a following of my perpetual grow as the plants grow. So, if you're following in sequence, it like right now you're gonna see some limoncello that are sprouting. You're gonna see the main lining that I was telling you about with the peanut butter breath. Those those are all in process, and then I have some other plants that I started from seed as well that are in the back. One of them is crazy mutant. It's like a
Oh,
two-face, like that's really pretty, and the other half's just all like,
really?
eh. Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
it's really, I'm just like most people would just chop that and plant something else, but I kind of want to grow it out to see what it
yeah.
does.
Let's see what that looks like.
Maybe the wilty parts develop the better buds, like who knows. But you'll be able to follow each strain from seed to harvest, essentially, and then the drying, the harvesting, the drying, the curing, and ultimately me smoking it and telling you what I think about it,
Yeah.
showing the buds, taking pictures, all that stuff. And it'll be, at least an episode a week, if not two, plus shorts in the interim. Or I don't know if that word fits, but shorts in between the actual videos.
I love it, man. So you're going to be able to give us a full breakdown, literally what they said seed to harvest, and then you'll be able to give us an honest review.
Yeah. And then everybody that's following along with my videos is also going to get a rundown on like you were talking about pest management, things like that, nutrient deficiencies, toxicities, issues that I'm having with watering, anything that the plants might be actually showing signs of problems of, and then what I'm doing to take care of it, and
Yeah,
whether or not it works.
yeah. No, I love it. I love it. Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I appreciate all the YouTube content creators. There's a lot of people with a lot of perfect grows, start to finish, which I find that a little hard to believe, but okay. So
Exactly. You're absolutely right. And I was thinking the same thing. That's why I wanted to do mine this way so that like I'm not really going to hide anything. There's no reason to hide anything. Like that's the whole point of the channel, is that like anything, any issues that I have, you're going to see, and you're going to see what I do to try and fix them, and if it works. And hopefully I don't have any issues and you don't get to see anything. But
hey,
that'll
man,
never happen, it's a garden, so
it's a learning experience, and that's what we're trying to, replicate stuff outside, inside. There's always going to be issues, and yet I think documenting the wins and losses is the right way to go. Because yeah, it's real easy to like watch a video and oh, it's perfect. Look at this. Oh, look at this. Everything's great, start to finish. Okay, well, as you and I both know, when you're getting going, for your first time, second time, third time, you're still having problems. It's
Oh yeah.
not as good as a lot of these people like to try and show. So that's great. I love that, man. Well, as we wrap up for here, I do want to go ahead and put your link right here, and get everyone to try and go over your channel, see where you're at currently. And like I said, I definitely want to get a hold of you for part two. Hopefully we can get it for next week if you're available.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I still got a ton more questions. I love it, man. I love the style of the grow. Personally, yeah, I've seen the videos, pictures. They look great.
Sorry, that's
That's
the
awesome.
getting
Yep.
arguing with the kitty.
One of the Great Danes, huh? That's crazy. Yeah,
Hey.
all good. Well, I will definitely, you got your hands full, especially with a Great Dane. I'll let you deal with that. And like I said, I'll leave the link up there. Everyone go ahead and check them out, as well as a link in the description. And we will get this wrapped up. And I will check you guys back with a part two.